Convene this meeting at 11:55. The next part is to enter into some deliberations, but also to get some feedback from the staff with regards to our two candidates who were interviewed today, and kind of go. So what I'd like to do, if the council's all right with this, is start off by getting the feedback from staff, kind of get some input from them, and then kind of start the discussion about what we think, where we're at.
Yep.
Good points, positives, negatives, where are we at, and then if we want to make a decision moving forward or not, or whatever that looks like. So is everybody comfortable with that? Okay. I'm not sure how as staff you guys want to proceed with this. Do you have a spokesperson? Jory is the one. So Jory, if you want to step up and then put the mic on so everybody can hear it because it's being recorded, we'd appreciate that.
Does that work? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, so real quick, we started with Fred. We had Fred in first, and our general assessment of Fred is he's obviously more experienced. He's a little more polished. He answers the questions exactly how you would expect him to answer the questions, which, you know, he's done several interviews in the past, so he's getting pretty good at this. And our assessment essentially is he's more of a turnkey guy. He's got the experience, he's got knowledge of the inner workings of cities and stuff like that. So he would be a guy that could plug and play, so to speak. You could come in and he would be able to do the job. The downsides of Fred is he wasn't quite as personable. You know, might be a little harder to just communicate with on a one-on-one basis, or especially with the staff in the office. You know, with us, it's just Joe that's got it. He does a pretty good job between that, so we don't, you know, deal with that too much. But in the office, you know, the day-to-day workings, you know, it might be a little harder, like I said, just to get to the point with him. He seems like he's very busy, if that makes sense, in his day-to-day stuff. Now, Richard, the good thing with Richard is he is approachable. You know what I mean? He's very personable. You can talk to him. Seems like he's very willing to step in and do whatever we want him to do. And, you know, a little more moldable to, so what I have written down actually is he's a little less experienced, but he might be better suited to learning what the city wants and the needs. A little more moldable, and I thought in his interview he had more direct answers to your guys' questions, more to the point, a little bit like that. So all in all, like we had talked to, and I think everybody agrees, talking to the staff, if we had to choose one, we lean towards Richard. But, and I know it's a time constraint, we are also open to opening it back up and seeing what else we might be able to find that maybe is a little better suited, because, you know, both of them have their strengths, both of them have their faults, and that's kind of where we are at with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No.
And then
Any specific questions from the council back to the staff based on the input you just heard? Okay, well, we appreciate your input. We appreciate you guys taking the time to put that together and give it to us. Of course, for us, it's always a challenge to try and decide what's the best for all and what's going to work. And, you know, you made a good valid point at the end in regards to, well, you know, is it something we need to look at further or what? So I guess that's what we're tasked with. So appreciate your input, and we'll definitely take it into consideration as we work through the process now. So
sounds good.
Thank you, Jory.
Thank you.
All right. Well, do we want to approach it this way, to just kind of go through each one of us, kind of talk about what they think of each candidate, kind of put it out there on the table and see where everybody's at? There might be some commonality or some consensus or something we see there as we go through it. And then, you know, think about just, you know, what do we want to do? What's ultimately at the end of the day? We have the ability to make a decision today on one of the two candidates. We have the ability to say, you know what, we're not quite there yet and we need to look for some other candidates. You know, so we have some options there at the end of the day of what we want to do. So I guess I would just say, if whoever wants to start, I'm open to letting them go through, and then we'll just go from there. So anyone want to go first up? Councilmember Jensen?
I can go.
All right, I'll let you fire away.
I agree with Jory and staff. I think Fred was much more polished. I think he has a far greater skill set than Richard. I think he could be plug and play. The communication piece is hard. He's probably, it didn't appear to be a real outgoing person, but he has the background in infrastructure and finance, which has always been big with me for the candidates that go before the council. To be quite frank, I did not think Richard interviewed well at all. I think the answers he provided to the questions were on a very small scale in a narrow scope, and I personally don't see him as a city administrator talent. That's just my opinion. He does have some skills that would be beneficial to the city, the planning, community development, but at the end of the day, how much community development are we going to do? I mean, the next few years is infrastructure. We have sewer and streets. The budget, it was on a small scale. We're much larger. I don't see him as a good fit personally. Fred, going to be plug and play, but I get the communication piece too. Yep. He said the right things, but will he effectively, communicate with staff? Because let's be honest, we didn't have that before, and it's an important piece and we need it. So, and I'm open to, do we need to look at more candidates? When you lose your top 3 candidates, and now we're down to the alternates, I would be lying if I didn't say I was very disappointed. I mean, but it happens. I mean, that's just the way it is. Yep. So that's kind of my, 2 cents on both candidates.
Thank you. Next.
I'll kind of echo what has been said. I think Fred came in with a better interview process, answered questions a little bit more direct, has the skill set that could take off and running. I think the communication could come in time. I'd hope that, because we have a very communicative staff. We have great staff that works here, and we're just looking for that leader to be able to lead that day-to-day operations and look forward to us and work with us. And I think Fred has that skill set to be able to do so. Between the two, Fred, in my mind, shined more than Richard. Would I be comfortable with Fred? I think I would. It is unfortunate that we had the other 3 candidates that dropped out. I would have really liked to see at least Fred compared to at least one of those candidates to see how they would interact and how they'd interview and how they'd answer some of these questions that we had for them, and kind of get an insight into their leadership styles to compare. Do I think Fred could do the job? I think he could. I would not be opposed either way if we move forward with a potential with Fred or a potential of seeing again who might be out there. We saw the pool of applicants the first time, and the second time maybe some people have changed. I mean, it's been a while. It's been since December, January that things have posted. Things have changed in people's lives and what's going on with the community that they serve. And so we might see some additional candidates that we didn't see before. Yeah, that's what I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Maroney. Councilmember Ball.
I guess I liked things out of both candidates. I definitely did not think Fred was as personable either. That for me, that first interview was very boring to sit through. Not that means he's not a good candidate. I mean, he's obviously more qualified than Richard for the position. He would be able to just do more things more easily than Richard. Richard would have to get up to speed on a lot more than just what he indicated, I think. Than just like zoning. I think they both did about even, I think, for answering questions. Like, I think Fred answered the same thing most of the time. Richard, I think all those answers were short and there was a couple, he didn't really answer the question, but some of the other ones, I thought his responses were good. Just from a qualification standpoint, Fred is clearly more qualified. And if we want somebody to be able to do everything right away, then we should go with Fred, but, or continue looking, I think. Because I think Richard would be nice, like assistant, like if we had somebody else that was gonna stick around, like, and teach him the ropes for a while, but I would be nervous about him like just coming in and being able to do all the things that are coming up in the next year that we talked about, like Bushman and everything else, but.
Okay. Good. Well, my thought is that neither one of them. And they both had things that they brought to the table. Fred definitely, as everybody said, I think he's a little more polished. He's had some experience, but I wasn't sold. I think honestly that longevity is still going to be an issue, and I worry about that. Sorry, it's there. The history's there, and I can't shake that out of my head. And, you know, bounced around a lot. North Carolina, Massachusetts, Kansas, now it's Minnesota. Where's the next stop? He definitely has the attributes to do the job. I think you're right. You can bring him in, you could plug him in, he could get it done. I could see him saying, once all those are, his question, what do you see as the biggest things? He's looking at what I need to get accomplished, and then once I get done with that, I'm out. That's kind of what went through my head as I heard that. Richard, nice guy, like him. He's got a good personality. He's very comfortable, but he doesn't have the skills. I'm just being straight up. I just don't think he's there. He doesn't have what we need. You know, capital improvement projects, $2,800 project to fix a little leak in a room. And I mean, we're talking multi-million-dollar projects. So that's nothing against him. It's just the experience of not having that. I agree. I wish we would have had at least one of our top three to be able to compare. I think that would have made a difference. I say this, while I think we want to make a decision, I think we also have to factor in the idea, don't make the decision just to make the decision so that you have somebody in place. If we feel we would benefit by going back out and taking another swing at it and seeing what other candidates are out there, I would be in favor of that. I know it stretches our timeline out. I know that we have things going on. I know it backs everything up. But I guess I asked the question to the council, do we want to do our best job to make sure we get it right? Because it's a huge, huge, important decision. And do we want to be a year down the road, be right back here again? We don't know if that'll happen, but I'm just throwing that out there. I think that has to be taken into consideration. So, again, I'm only one council person. I don't speak for the whole council. I'm just telling you what I think and where I'm at. But at the end of the day, we need to make some type of a decision today to continue to move the process forward, whatever that is that we decide. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm open to hearing further discussion, thoughts, ideas.
I was definitely still concerned about the longevity. I didn't get from Fred that he would stay around longer than 2 years. So that's, and we did talk about, we don't want to be back here in 2 years doing this again. So
Right.
if that's the guy, then I think we should keep looking.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think we should keep looking. I mean, neither candidate, like say Richard, I just felt did not interview well. And to your point, yeah, the capital plan, $2,800 corner missing in a building. He is not ready to be an administrator, nor do I ever think he will be. That's just my opinion. It doesn't have the skill set. Fred does. That being said, we put it back out. I mean, we need to move quickly.
Oh, yeah.
We need to have
shorten
dates,
the timelines up.
availability dates from all council members. And
Correct.
it needs to be a short lag time.
Yep.
Very short. I mean, we need to be very aggressive with these candidates, getting them in, getting them interviewed. And at the end of the day, if we don't find anybody, Fred may still be there. You know, personality-wise, I don't know if he was a fit with staff, skill set-wise. I mean, he had all the tools. You know, the longevity, I had to ask the question because that bothered me.
You didn't ask it, I was gonna ask it. So
day
you asked
one.
both the questions I was gonna ask, so that's good. I'm glad you
With
did.
Richard, I wanted to know, you know, why didn't, you know, he didn't answer the questions. But I just, you know, I don't see Richard having the skill set to be a city administrator, especially whoever we bring in here, and staff knows this, we have a lot going on in this city. We put a lot on hold. You know, we're moving forward. Staff is doing a fantastic job. We're lucky to have, you know, Jerry is our interim city administrator. That made a very smooth transition. You know, we still have to get through the building season, you know, I mean, it's a busy time. But we have the staff to do it, and I'm comfortable doing it as long as it is the priority.
Right.
I think it's the right decision.
Where you at?
I have nothing further to add than that.
Okay.
I'm all right with that.
Any input from you, Mike?
Yeah, the first of all, to answer the one question about communication. So we do ask those specific questions during those background and reference calls. And so each of those situations, there was no report that he didn't communicate well, he didn't share information well. So we didn't have anything negative like that. So I heard that question. The other question in regards to going out for another consideration. We are in it to win it with you here. Absolutely we are. And I did have a conversation a little bit earlier today with staff about that scenario. And the realities are, actually I had the conversation with the staff itself about why did the pool look like the way it is? Well, it's because this is Greater Minnesota. And you got to live, you got to want to live here. And those are the types of candidates that you're going to attract. So by going out, we will, just to caution the council or set expectations, the pool's probably not going to change that much from what we had from 3 weeks, a month ago till today. But like I said, we are in it to win it with you. We do provide a 1-year certification that, you know, the candidate, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and we're back to where we are. So we're happy to do that too. So, but really, I just want to set expectations that the pool may be relatively small. You know, we'll have to do a small budget to get some marketing dollars out there, which is not a big deal, but we can definitely do that if that's the wishes of the council, and we can just go from there. But like I said, just manage expectations in regards to the type of pool that you might get, if there's any change.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
And again, I don't want to speak for the council, but I think we're all sitting here going, we want to do that. I think because, but at the end of the day, if you're just not comfortable with it, you're not comfortable with it. And we have to make a decision that's going to work for our staff, our city, us, moving forward. And that's whether it's 6 months down the road, 2 years down the road, whatever that is. And I've always said this, hiring is an art. I don't care what anybody says. It's an art. You can have some of the best skill sets, you can have some of the best things, and you think you made the right decision and you realize, oh, we didn't. So at the end of the day, does that mean we're going to get it right? I don't know, because it's an art. But I think we want to give ourselves the best opportunity and chance to get it right. And what I'm hearing from the council as a whole is maybe we're not there yet. So we probably need to have some type of a motion from the council to keep a process going.
So, Mr. Mayor, it could be as simple as that the council would table selection of a city administrator until a further date to be determined. Then from there, a second motion could be to direct staff to work with your consultant to secure advertising dollars and to set up a, what did I hear, an aggressive timetable?
Yes.
To follow up for a second round of interviews for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really important just to speak to that aggressive timetable is that we, and I understand there were things out of our control to a degree, but I don't want to lag like we had the last time between when we selected and when we interviewed. It was too long. And I think it cost us, but that's just my own thought and opinion on that. Okay, so do I have a motion to table selection of candidate at this point in time?
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion from Councilmember Ball, a second from Councilmember Maroney to table selecting a city administrator for the city of Breezy Point at this time. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Do I have another motion to keep the process moving forward?
So move.
Second.
Okay, so the motion is to have staff work with Mike and his group, consulting firm, to look at putting together some dollars for some marketing as well as an aggressive timetable to go back out and seek further candidates for us for an interview process. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I would have one question, and maybe you're leading to this.
Yes.
Mr. Bolensack obviously was our interim administrator for a short term.
Yes.
This is lengthening that. Is there any concerns from the council that we should be aware of with Mr. Bolensack?
I think I told some of you that I wouldn't abandon you. That said, you're keeping the process going, so I'm okay with that. I don't know if the staff's okay with that.
Okay.
So what we're hearing is you're willing to stay with us here until we can at least get this process finished.
He says he's in it to win it. I think I'm probably in it to win it more.
Well said, well said, thank you. All right, well, hearing no other business before us, I call for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I have a motion from Councilmember Maroney. Have a second? Second from Councilmember Jensen. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.